Hey everybody, welcome back for another ass-kicking edition of Shoreviewken. Today we're taking a look at a very important 2D fighter that spawned one of my all-time favorite fighting series, and that's King of Fighters 94 on the Neo-Geo CD, which was developed and published by SNK and released into arcades and on home consoles in 1994, and it's had a ton of re-releases and ports since then. At the time, the biggest draw of this game was that it crossed over a bunch of characters from various SNK properties like Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, and Ikari Warriors, and that was something that was totally unprecedented. All of these characters have come together to compete in the titular King of Fighters tournament being hosted by the sinister Rugal Bernstein, one of fighting game's all-time great villains. Another thing that was unprecedented at the time, at least as far as I know, is that this is a team fighting game, but unlike later games in the series, you're not given the option to mix and match characters. You have to play the teams as the game intends, and each team is representing a different country, which I find kind of odd, considering that aside from Japan, Korea, USA, and 2/3 of the China team, none of the characters are actually from the countries they're representing, but that's not much of a gripe, really. This is a great 2D fighter that I think still holds up really well today. It's a 4-button fighter similar to Fatal Fury, and it plays more or less like any other mid-90s fighter, but it plays really well, and the diverse cast of characters makes for some very interesting matchups. Every character has a wide array of unique special attacks and a super combo meter that can be charged up at will, allowing you to execute some truly devastating super attacks, which are even more powerful if your health is in the red, and instead of a round-based system, you keep fighting until every member of your team has been eliminated. So with all of that in mind, this game represents a huge evolution in the pantheon of SNK fighters. It's a lot of fun, regardless if you're playing against the CPU or challenging a friend, and there's not really much else I can say about it. This game is a classic, and the graphics and sound design are great too. Again, each stage is meant to represent a different country, and each one is filled with a ton of cool background details, character cameos, and animations, and I think by 1994 standards, this has to be among the best looking 2D fighters released at that point, and the soundtrack is awesome. I wouldn't put it on par with Street Fighter 2 or anything, but it's definitely enjoyable, and if you're playing the CD version, the soundtrack is nicely arranged, even including some vocal tracks. So while this isn't the best game in the series in my opinion, it is a great way to kick it off. 1994 was definitely a good year for fighting games.
Kelly versus Diamond Fight. Go to hell!
So, if you've never played a King of Fighters game before, which is kind of hard to imagine at this point, 94 would be a great way to get started. Even if you have played some of the other games in the series and you've enjoyed them, this one is still worth going back to. It's great, and the CD version of the game is very affordable these days, sometimes going for as little as 10 bucks on eBay, which it is well worth. Of course, if you don't have a Neo-Geo console, it is also available for the PSP, the PS2, and while it lasts, the Nintendo Virtual Console. So you've got some options if you want to play this one. It's King of Fighters 94, and it's awesome.
Fight! Shoreviewken!